Well, that was very annoying. My screen never shared. Anyways, I'm going to do it again. Everyone was asking, could you just send on the slides, but it won't make any sense if I don't have the screen share on. So that's really annoying that the notifications didn't come up to tell me that you said the screen share wasn't on. Anyways, I'm going to get straight into it. If people are still there, hello, sorry about that. I'm going to make it 30 minutes. I've literally just done the whole thing, 45 minutes worth, but because I've just done it, I know that I'll be able to do it in 30 minutes. Plus, I've got a call in 30 minutes, so I'm going to have to do it in 30 minutes. Right, share screen, please. Share screen. Right. Screen sharing. So I'm going to have to go through the whole thing again, but I'll be able to do it quicker this time. Okay, so here is the goal setting and vision board workshop. I'm going to go through defining your goals, categorizing your goals, the SMART template, action plan, barriers to effective goal setting, and basically how to put an action plan in place to achieve whatever goal it is. And the main goals that I was talking about, or that I'm going to be talking about, are financial goals, and then just some personal development or maybe even fitness-based goals, just so that I'm covering a broad spectrum. So if you haven't set any goals for yourself, don't worry. I haven't done my goals yet. I have an idea, but I haven't done mine yet either. So don't worry about it. Get a pen and paper. If you haven't started, maybe pencil it in to do it this weekend. And then this workshop will really help in actually thinking about what sort of goals you want to achieve and in what categories and what ones might be what ones you might need to prioritize. If you have your goals already set out, that's great. This will just help you figure out how you're going to get there and what might work and what you might need to rethink. So let me see. Okay, defining goals. When you're defining your goals, I want you to include absolutely every goal you have ever. Your big life goals, something you want to achieve at the end of this week, something you want to achieve by the end of the month, and something you want to achieve this year, as well as those big life visions. Because with goals, you do want to dream big, but if you don't have smaller goals that you have set out in order to get there, the big dreams can seem basically too big and overwhelming. But you should never stop yourself from dreaming big in whatever it is you want to achieve. It's just that if you don't have those smaller goals and baby steps that you're putting in place in order to get the big goal, you can get very overwhelmed and feel a little bit frustrated, I guess, in trying to achieve those big goals. So break all your goals down into ultimate life vision, so something you want to achieve by the end of your life, what you want to be remembered for. Your long-term goals may be something in the next 3 to 10 years. Then you got medium-term milestone goals, might be, let's say, 1 to 5 years. And then your short-term mini goals. That could be, you don't have to be so specific with, what is a short-term goal. It could be something this week. It could be something next week. It could be something you want to achieve by the end of the month or the next, let's say, 8 weeks. Those are still fairly short-term mini goals. Then, let's see what's on this page here. The categories for goals. There's loads of different categories. I'm just giving you some examples here. Personal, professional, academic, emotional, relationship, financial. You could even have, once you break those goals down, let's say for personal, so these are just a load of different categories. You can come up with your own ones that you don't see here or choose from these ones, that's fine. But then you do need to break them down even more. So what is in a personal goal category? For me, that might be physical, it could be emotional, I might have physique-based goals. Break the category down a little bit more into further bullet points, basically. And then what you want to do is prioritize those goals. So if you're trying to think, like, as you go through all the categories, you might have 1 or 2 goals in each of those categories. You might have 5 goals in one category. So by the end of that task, you might have 20 or even 50 goals. And obviously you can't achieve 20 or 50 goals all in one go. So you need to prioritize those goals, okay? So have a look at your sheet, like make sure you're doing this like physically on a refill pad. Write it all out. Write out the headings, personal, business, friendships and family, relationships, financial, business goals, academic, whatever it is. You don't have to have goals in all those areas. I'm just giving you an example of different categories. And then when you've got the list of all of those goals together, what are your top 5? What are your top 5 goals? And then pick one, because you can only focus on one goal at a time, really. Some of them overlap. Let's say you want to lose some weight so that you're healthier by the end of the year. So let's say you want to lose weight. With that goal might come eating healthily, exercising regularly, no booze for January, saving money. Those are a lot of goals that overlap, so that's okay. But if you've got loads of different goals in different areas, those will be very hard to achieve. So pick at one time. So pick the goal that's most important to you right now. As you go through the months, you might things might change, and you might find in 2 months' time, this goal isn't as important as it was a few weeks ago, and that's fine. And you can change your order of your goals if you're finding that you're just not as motivated as you were for one of them. And I'll talk about motivation and your purpose in a second. But you need to find the number one goal that's most important to you right now, and you're going to start with that one. Before we go into the SMART template and actually how to get there, you need to look at what barriers might be in the way. So I'll go through a few of them, but you can read the rest of them here as I'm talking through. So if your motivation isn't clear, that can be a big barrier. If you're setting on this big path of achieving XYZ, but you don't really know why you're doing it, when you get to like a struggle with that goal, it can be very hard to stick with it if you're actually like, why am I even doing this? So make sure you know why the goal is important. Why is that number 1 on the list? Why have you picked this one over number 5 that you had on the list? And make sure that it's meaningful and purposeful for you, because you'll never have 100% success with the strategy all of the way through. There'll always be something that gets in the way. So when that happens, you need to be really sure of why you're going ahead with that goal, because that why is what's going to keep you going when you might encounter difficulties. Setting unrealistic goals and no action plan, I'll go through in the SMART template. Dealing with change is really important, and I actually think that people have gotten fairly good at that over the last, let's say, 2 years. Things never go to plan, so you need to be able to change. You need to be able to adapt, basically, and don't expect that everything's going to go 100% perfect, because it never will. And the main one here at the top, not writing goals down. Write them down so that you can look back on them when you've achieved a couple of them. You might have forgotten some of the goals. You might have been someone with loads of different ideas. Write them down and tell people. They're really important for achieving your goals, because you need to tell people about them so you're held accountable, but also that you've got support. Limiting beliefs, negative mindsets, not thinking that you can achieve it. Like, make sure that when you write the goals down, you're like, I can do that. I just need to figure out how. If you're writing down this big goal and you're like, I know I can't achieve it, but I'm going to write it down anyway, that isn't going to work. You have to, maybe even one of your goals is to have more self-belief, but write down things that you truly believe about yourself right now that you can achieve. And then as you start achieving those small mini goals, I'm talking about weekly goals of training 3 times a week, going to classes 3 times a week, meeting a friend for coffee, like very small goals that some of you might think are, too small to be goals, but all the smaller mini goals help you build that self-esteem and help reinforce that self-belief. So make sure the goals you're writing down, you really do truly believe that you can achieve them. You just aren't sure how, which is what the workshop is about. Not following through and not reviewing, I'll cover in the SMART template as well, at the end of the SMART template. Basically kind of looking back every month or every week or whatever the time frame is that you've set for your goal and seeing what is like making sure everything's going okay, and if it isn't, how can you change it to make it a little bit better so that you're making sure you're progressing. Because if you're not reviewing things, then you're not making sure that you're being efficient with your time and your tools. So I think I've gone through categorizing goals. So here now you've got your goal setting worksheet. I've gone through it already about picking one goal and figuring out why is it important. And then do that for each category here. Then after that, you're going to go on to your SMART template. So everyone's heard of the SMART template, I'm sure of it. But if you haven't heard it in this sort of context, SMART means specific, or sorry, it doesn't mean, it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timed. So specific is what exactly do you want to achieve? Like make sure it's really specific. And how are you going to make sure that you're going to achieve that goal and that what you're doing is working? And I'll give you an example in a second. Achievable, making sure it's realistic and that it's something that you can do, that if you've got the right tools, it's something that you actually can accomplish. Relevant and results focused, or realistic, all of those three definitions. So what is the result? What is the reason, purpose, and benefit of achieving this goal? And is it realistic? Timed. A deadline is really important for goals. Deadlines can always be adjusted, but you have to set them in the first place so that you can set like weekly and monthly timeframes within that deadline. So let's say I'm going to go with the financial goal of paying off your loan within 12 months. You want to pay off your £5,000 loan within 12 months, and you're going to be paying off 400 a month, let's say. So that's going to be your loan or your monthly repayments, and then you'll have to pay a little bit extra at the end. So let's say you have to pay off £5,000 in the whole year. If you think about £5,000 or even £10,000, you might get a little bit anxious about that amount of money. But if you break it down into monthly targets and weekly targets, it can seem so much easier. Thinking about paying off €100 a week is much easier to deal with than thinking that you've got to pay 10 grand or 5 grand by the end of the year. So what do you want to achieve? Let's say the paying off your loan. Paying off my €5,000 loan by the end of the year, or whatever date you owe, let's say just before Christmas, the 21st of December. So by the 21st of December, 2022, you want to have paid off your £5,000 loan. How are you going to measure that? Because you're going to know that you're sending out X amount of money every month, which will add up to the £5,000 by the end of the month. You're going to be looking at your income and your expenses, and you know that you can commit to letting go of this €400 a month if you change around a couple of lifestyle factors and you budget and you're not drinking as much or spending as much money. By setting up a standing order and having a weekly €100 payment coming out, that's how that's going to ensure that you're going to have success with that goal. Achievable, yes, because you've done a budget up for yourself and it's going to give you the result that you want by the time that you want. So that's an example of using the SMART template. Also consider things that might prop up that might be a barrier to achieving that goal. So like I'm saying here, I've put in here that you've got a wedding in March and April. There's no way that if you've got a wedding in March and April that you're going to be able to do the €400 a month payment, especially if one of these weddings is abroad. So those months you're going to have to chop down that repayment, or maybe you're going to have to save up a little bit extra this month and next month so that you can put more into that standing order for 2 months to make up for these months. So think of things that might come in the way of your achieving that goal, just so that you have you're prepared. That's all it is. It mightn't happen. It's just that things that might pop up that you can deal with if they do. So here, for example, I'm giving an example of getting fitter, getting stronger. How are you going to do this? So sign up to the gym, book your classes or your personal training or whatever it is, your weight loss goals. If you've got, how are you going to achieve successful weight loss? You need to do a grocery shop. You need to write out that grocery shopping list. You need to have a budget for the grocery shop. You need to go and do the shop. You need to do your meal prep, write out, track or do your food plan on MyFitnessPal so that you know what you're eating and you've got the numbers right. And then you're going to do check-ins or whatever it is. It can be anything as long as you are writing down how exactly you're going to get there or what's going to work in baby steps to help you achieve week on week, month by month, these goals. What have I written here about mindset and personal development? Oh yeah. So for me, I was using this as an example of when I was building my membership site. How am I going to make sure that every single week I'm getting content done, it's recorded, it's uploaded on time? I need to book the studio, book the equipment, and then I had 2 books that I wanted to finish. So every morning, 10 minutes of a book. So they don't have to be really, really big steps. They can be as small as you like, as long as they're set out on the plan and that you're reviewing them and that they're specific and that what these steps are, and that making sure that these steps are helping you progress towards your goals. Everything is about planning. A weekly plan, a daily plan. I went through short-term goals. I went through long-term vision goals. So whichever one that you've picked as your top priority, whatever category that fits into with regards to time frame, you need to make sure that you're planning. If you have a goal this month, you need to break that month down into weeks and have a plan for each week. You might even be someone that a daily plan works best. If you've got a goal that you want to achieve by the end of the year, you have to break down the whole year into months so that you have a plan for every month. And then if you need to break that down into weeks as well. No plan is no goal achieved by the end of the month, end of the week, end of the year, or whatever time frame you've set for yourself. So say, for example, here, you need to look at your weekly schedule, your main goal for the week, write it down. How are you going to do it? Put on my laundry, make sure that I've got my laundry done and ready by Thursday because I'm going away on Friday and everything has to be ready. Make sure that I've updated people at work because I'm taking annual leave. Like all of these different examples, it can be anything, but you need to know how you're going to do it and what barriers or obstacles might come up in the meantime and how you're going to deal with them if they do, just so that you're prepared when you're going to do them. So plan it into your weekly schedule. On Sunday, I'm going to do my grocery shop. Or even, let's say you're going to do your meal plan on Saturday. So you're going to have in your head, do it all on MyFitnessPal. And then on Sunday, you're going to go and buy that grocery shop and do that meal prep, pack it all into the boxes, leave it in the fridge, and then you have everything for the week. You're going to book all your classes. These are things that are going to help you stay on track. And week by week, month by month, day by day are giving you that extra 1%, one step closer to your goal, whether it's a 3 month, 6 month, 1 year or 5 year goal. Remember when I said there about reviewing? It's really important that you're reviewing how you're getting on with your goals. So every week, look back, or it could be every month, but I would suggest doing both. Every week, have a look. Okay, how did this week go for me? How am I feeling? Is there anything that I could change to make next week a bit better? And ask yourself these questions here. What worked well? What didn't work as planned? If you're, like I said, if you're you're on the journey of trying to achieve XYZ in like 3 months time, and you start to review every week and you're just finding that things aren't really progressing as fast as you'd like or at all, then that's a sign, okay, look, something isn't working here. Do I need more time with this goal? Is it that I'm putting too much pressure on myself? Is it that there's something that just isn't working? Like the timeline is right, but the strategy you're doing isn't working? Is that you need more support? Do you need to tell more people? Do you need to ask for more help? So that's the whole point of reviewing, is because you're building that awareness and being like, something isn't working here. What would you change? And then how are you going to implement that change the next week or the next month or whatever it is? When you've achieved one goal, so that number one that you put on that list that I asked you what the main priority was, you then do the same task again. Categorize, they probably will be the same goals, but go through the process again, quickly put them into categories, timelines, and then pick the most important one again. And then you do this whole process again and move on to the next goal. It's really important as you go along every single week and month that you are spotting your small wins. And they can be as small as getting an extra hour of sleep, getting up at half an hour earlier, so that you've got extra time in the morning to prepare for XYZ or whatever it is. Tiny things like that make huge differences when you've got goals, especially around time or being organized. They can help hugely. Okay, I went to bed an hour earlier last night, so I could get up an hour earlier this morning. And that meant that I did an extra hour of study this morning and I felt more prepared for my exam. Literally as simple as that. It can be something so small as a stranger bought me a coffee today, or I bought a stranger a coffee today and I felt good about it and it made my day. That small thing can have a huge impact on your mood, your self-esteem, and just gives you a little boost, especially if you're like, okay, I want to do 3 workouts this week. I booked my classes, I had my gym bag ready, and I actually had my 3 classes done by Thursday. And it meant that actually I felt so good about it that I did an extra one on Friday. So small reminders that you're doing really well. And this is why it's so important to share your goals with other people, because sometimes it's hard to spot your own wins. When you do a few of them, you're like, oh, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. But at the start, you might not spot your little wins. So when you tell your friends about your goals, or family, or whatever it is, partner, they can be like, oh my God, that's amazing, you did this. Isn't that something that's kind of related to your goal of doing XYZ? And you can be like, yeah, I guess it is. Maybe you didn't realize that it was important, but someone else will, and that'll help just reinforce that self-confidence and self-esteem. And write them out in your journal. Make a sheet of mini wins for each week, and then you should have a list of about 20 mini wins a month. And when you're going through each month and looking back on the month before, you can be like, whoa, I'm doing really well. And that helps you with that self-belief. You're like, wow, I'm killing it here, which means that in 3 months' time or in 6 months' time, maybe I'll actually have achieved my goal a month earlier than I'd set out. And you can kind of get a bit more motivation and excited and a bit more drive. So that's how, the action plan. So that's how you categorize goals, define them, put a timeline on them, break them down, break bigger ones into smaller ones. Remind yourself that you can do it with mini wins. Share your story, review your goals, see if something needs to be changed. And then, where is the action plan? So the action plan template here, I've just done an example, but this is going to be your, write out a table. Every step that needs to be taken towards reaching that goal. So say, for example, set up direct debit for $400 a month on Sunday and get it to start on Monday. Action, you can write in, logged into online banking, set up direct debit, and you write the date that it was completed and you do a tick beside it. And then the next one can be, €1,200 milestone mark of paying off or saving XYZ by March. And then you put it in here, and €1,200 saved, and a tick with the date, and you're just ticking off every single step that you've put down that's going to help you reach whatever goal you've set. You can do this every single month and every single week if you want. It's a really useful way of breaking down one goal into a few different steps and the action you need to take, and then ticking it off, so you'll have that sense of accomplishment. Now, the vision board, is here. So the vision board, I'm showing you my 2021 because I haven't done a 2022 one yet. My 2021 one was not, I didn't have on Canva, but the reason I'm showing you 2020 is because I believed in this vision board so much that most of it actually came true. There's some physical photos that aren't on it, but this was the one I created on Canva and printed out on like a cork board. You can literally print this off on the back of a cereal box. It doesn't have to be anything you've bought on the internet. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can just stick things to the back of your door if you want. I'm just giving you an example. So on your vision board, put all those categories of goals. Put your life vision, your yearly goal, maybe your 3-month goal, and then every month you can pop a note, a picture posted on your vision board as well. You can still put those monthly goals on your vision board. So what I put on my vision board are words, values, goals, inspo in the form of pictures, words, whatever it is, and then loads of pictures. So I love looking at things and then having like motivational quotes or words that inspire me. So this vision board, I'll explain it now. My goal in 2020 was to have my business thriving enough that I could travel with it, that I wouldn't have to worry about not having enough money to go, not go on holidays, but to travel. And then I wanted to develop my logo colors, which is why I've got this sunset looking like this. But I also wanted to make sure that I was close to the beach and the sea and that I had sunsets. This picture here was about retreats, but I've also incorporated some colors that I was going to, that I wanted for my logo. Like I hadn't defined a logo yet or anything like that. I wanted to, these were just like inspirational colors for me. And this picture was what I wanted to use for retreats. Then here, Einstein is my favorite person ever because I just loved his sayings. I loved his facial expressions. And my favorite expression from him was the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And for me, with my life changes and career changes, I do that. If I find that I'm doing the same thing and I'm not getting the results that I want, I stop and I'm like, Becca, something isn't working here. You need to change your approach. Here, with all these words here, I'll explain them and you'll know what they mean. Tribe, it was about me finding a group of people that were like my people in my home abroad, which is here where I am now. So that's what tribe was about. Team was about me expanding my business and hiring people, which I have done now. Empower was about me following through with my passion of empowering other women. So that is still what I'm doing now. Systems was about me having the right systems in place that if we grew, I could handle it. My team, and having just the right strategy in place for, like, let's say website, customer support, all that sort of stuff. Climb was about me moving up and up and up with my business and growth and progressing. And then build was just about building an empire, basically. So those are my words. You can come up with your words, passion projects, things that you really love doing, hobbies. Your values are really important there. If family is a top value for you, or loyalty with friendships, things like that. And then all these quotes here are my favorite positive quotes. Some of them, I have hundreds, but they're reminders when I kind of need a boost or I'm having a hard time with something or whatever it is. It's a reminder to keep going. So here, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. The difference between an ordeal and an adventure is your attitude. The very thing that hold you down are going to lift you up. Aim for the moon. If you miss, you may hit a star. So these are my favorite quotes ever. I have them on my phone. I have them in my journals. I have them everywhere. And if ever I'm like having a crap day, and this was in like 2020, and this was printed out on my wall, and I also had like loads of like Polaroid pictures physically printed out attached, like just with like thumbtacks on this vision board as well. I just would look at the board and I'd be like, no, keep going, you know, keep going with my dreams, basically reminding me that everything doesn't have to be perfect. And if something isn't working, maybe I need to change my strategy, and just to keep going, because this is what I really want. This is what I really want. And these things are what I really want. And those are it's my passion project and my purpose. So I hope that all made sense. I want you all to go and sit down this weekend. If you haven't set your goals, you can use this workshop to set them. If you had your goals already, then you can start using the action plan, the SMART template. You can start actually breaking down the goals into smaller goals and seeing how those might fit in on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And I would love to hear about your goals. If you want someone to hold you accountable, then let me know. I will definitely do that for you. And I'm going to go back and see. I'm going to stop the screen share and just see if there's any questions on the Facebook page. Let me just go on here. And then if you've got any questions, I will answer them now. Okay, if you have any questions, pop them under this under the Facebook post, and I will come on and answer them later on. And other than that, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next workshop.